Before fear learned her name, Mama Ijera was revered. She walked with the stillness of someone who had survived many seasons, many endings. Her back was straight despite her age, her eyes deep, holding yesterday and tomorrow at once. When she spoke, even the wind leaned closer. Her hut stood alone at the edge of the village where the light ended. Inside the hut, apps hung like quiet prayer. Calabashes lined the wall, marked with symbols of healing, harvest, and protection. Our hands, long and steady, carried the smell of earth and rain. Ants that had delivered babies, closed the eyes of the dead, and fed the starving without ever asking for a name. And fed the starving without ever asking for a name. Until one night, when everything changed. One mistake, one simple kindness turned into malice, jealousy, envy, and judgment. A child had died, not just an ordinary child, the village chief only grandson. The boy had been bitten by a snake while playing in the tall grass. By the time they brought him to Mama Edera, death was already hovering over him. She saw it in the way his pupils refused the light, in the stillness of his chest. She could have said no, but Mama Ijera had never turned death away without trying. She worked desperately, crushing antidote leaves, cutting her palm to mix blood and herbs, whispering words meant to slow the crossing, not to defy death, only to delay it long enough for a goodbye. For a moment, the boy breathed. His chest rose, and his fingers twitched. The villagers gasped. Then he was gone. Mama Jera closed his eyes herself. What the village remembered was this. The boy breathed after death touched him. And from that single moment on, truth began to rot. The story changed. By morning, the tale was no longer the same. They said she brought him back. They said she called his spirit. They said she felt. They didn't remember how heartbroken she was. They didn't remember that she cried. They didn't remember how her hands shook. They did not say that she refused payment and covered the boy's body with her own cloth. No, they said she played with his life. And once a woman is believed to touch the line between life and death, she never steps back. So they say. Every kindness from her became suspicious. If crops thrived near her house, she had enchanted the soil. If a woman conceived after years of barrenness, Mama Idera must have demanded something. If death avoided her door, then death must be obeying her every command. They forgot the truth slowly, one whisper at a time, until Mama Idera was no longer a healer. She became a warning. Children were warned never to play near her hut. Adolescents were told to avoid her like a plague. Even the elders all call her a witch. But Mama Ijera never defended herself. She believed that truth had weight, that goodness spoke for itself, that years of kindness could not be erased by one misunderstood night. But she was wrong, because fear only needed one story, and the villagers had chosen theirs. Yet, when hunger came, she fed them. When sickness came, she stayed with them. And when grief came, she listened and comforted them. But when their hungers are satiated, when the grief has gone, when the sickness disappears, they forget. They forget her kindness. They forget her benevolence. They start the rumors all over again. Nobody knows when or how it started. Some people say these rumors came from jealous and envious women. It was said that Mama Idera used to be a beautiful young woman who had the attentions of all the eligible bachelors in the village. She was said to be a kind young woman who helps the young, the elderly, and even the youths. Mama Idera was married to the most handsome man in the village until tragedy struck. Mama Idera had gone to the market this fateful day, leaving her daughter and her husband at home. People said her hut had suddenly caught fire, which led to the death of her husband and her daughter. Mama Idera chose never to remarry, not to have another child. She chose to become the village healer. She chose to always be there for people who are in need of help. Every Saturday, women were seen washing their clothes at the village river. They started a conversation. One woman said, "Why is everybody always flocking around Mama Idera's hut?" The other said, "Don't mind her. She always feels like she's the villager's savior." Then another said, "She's just a foolish old woman. She's indeed a witch like they called her." Then another said, of course she has to be a witch. Only a witch could do all those she's doing. And then she pretends like she's just doing it for us. Meanwhile, she's using us in a witchcraft coven. Then another woman said, Abba, let us not be ingrates. This woman, she cured your son when he fell ill last time. You, when your husband was bitten by a snake, Mama Ejera gathered herbs and created an antidote that is why your husband is still alive today. How can you open your mouth and say she's just a foolish old woman? How could you? Then she turned and said, so what? If she hadn't done it, someone else would have. Does that mean you should not start worshipping her? She's not the savior. She's just a woman like every one of us. Then the woman defending Mama Ejera said, now I understand. This is all coming from a place of envy. You all are just jealous that woman is gracious and merciful and she helps everyone who knocks her door.
Good
Please,
to us, always
she's not a
sharing
bad
and
person.
caring. We don't
Neither is
care.
she
We
a
hate
witch.
Mama
Just
Idera
let
for
her
what she
be.
did.
Whatever. During night service there, now you sabi, Mama Ejera apprentice. They all started laughing. The woman gathered her worst clothes and left the river. That night, the trader's daughter fell ill. Her scream cracked the night open. Her body twisted with fever. Her breath sounded like it was being stolen. The healer had tried and failed. They have prayed and prayer had failed, and hope began to rot. Someone whispered her name, Mama Ejera. Let us carry her to Mama Ejera. Then the girl's father said, no, she's a witch. Then another said, but your child is dying. Fear becomes smaller than hope. Let us carry her to Mama Ejera. I don't want my child to die, says the girl's mother. So they carried her to Mama Ejera. Mama Ejera said nothing. She only looked at the sick girl and she started walking immediately. Leaves crushed, roots burnt, old lullabies whispered into the girl's dying ear. And by dawn, the girl lived. And that was when the villagers decided Mama Ejera must die. No one cheats death twice, they said. She gives sickness and sells the cure. This is her price. She took payment in blood. No one cheats death without evil. And then they plotted to burn Mama Ejera alive. Matches were lit, ropes were tied. Faith was replaced with fire. Mama Ejera did not fight them. As they dragged her through the dirt, she looked at their faces, the same faces she had fed, healed, buried, forgiven, and comforted. I helped you, she whispered. I helped you all. I healed you. I comforted you. I fed your children. They didn't hear her. They didn't listen to her. They tied her to the stake beneath the skies with no stars. The flames licked her feet. Smoke swallowed her prayers. Then they heard the screech. Stop! The trader's daughter stepped forward.
Them to stop.
Alive, walking, whole.
Stop! Mama
She
Idera saved my
me.
life. She's a
The
kind
girl
woman.
cried. She held my hands when death touched me. If she's evil, then evil is mercy. Then fell on deafening silence. Silence as thick as harsh. The father dropped the rope. The torches dimmed. Shame replaced anger. Some said the fire was stopped too late. Some said Mama Ejera was already burned to ashes. Some said Mama Ejera was already gone. Some swore Mama Ejera vanished into the smoke untouched by the flame. Some said Mama Ejera was free, but she never returned to her hut. Some said Mama Ejera left the village at dawn, still carrying the burden of a world that fears what it doesn't understand. The villagers never slept peacefully again. Children woke up screaming. Crops failed. Guilt rotted every home. Mama Ejera never returned because kindness, once born, never comes back. Be careful who you call a witch. Nobody knows. You may just be burning the last good thing you have.